In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Lord, I continue on to put forward my testimony in the growth in which I've been growing an awful lot and putting in a lot of work, a lot of efforts, a lot of your works that speak through me in order to better myself, to beat my addictions, to beat what people would call demons. 2 years ago, I got off methadone. I didn't have to go to a rehab centre. I done it myself. I reduced 5 mils every week, and I done it. With that, I ended up going out and I learned something that I wish I would have learned years beforehand. That it wasn't about me, it was about other people. It was about helping people. The first time that I really started helping, I met a man called Richard. Richard, he was from Carlow, and he didn't look like your average person that would live on the street. He was a very gentle man, the way that he talked. He was a lovely man, still is. I see him still time to time. He'd sleep on the street with no sleeping bag. I'll still never know how he done it. I said to him, I says, I'll get you a sleeping bag. And I showed him how to do that, because he wasn't from Dublin, you know. So I brought him up to the Rough Sleepers in Dublin, up on Capel Street, and I got him a sleeping bag. He was very thankful for that. The next day I meet up with him and we go on, we have a few drinks. I got talking to him and I realised the man was a very pure man. He slept on the streets of Dublin and he'd get a bus, a Kirwan's bus that cost €30 for him to get back to Carlow in order to work. He built children's playgrounds, he built children's playgrounds and he'd go to work and he'd come back to Dublin and he'd do the same, sleep on the street, get a bus and go home. And that broke my heart. So, the next day I says to him, I says, listen, I can get you a tent. So I get him a tent. And I bring him up to where Tarda Street is in Dublin. And I says, tent up. And we listen to a bit of music, we talk. He turned out to be a very nice person that just went through a lot of hard times, not unlike myself. 3 years back, I lost my father to cancer. 2 years before that, I lost my mother to cancer. The year before my father died, I lost my nanny. I lost her to a stroke and cancer. I lost my auntie to a diabetic seizure, I think it was called. She was found dead on her couch. We had to sell the house and we all went our separate ways. My brother and my sister. Selling the house was the hardest thing I ever had to do. And not being able to see my family as much anymore was very, very hard. So I related to Richie, I really did. With Richie, I got something from Richie that I never got from anyone else. I got from him that I wasn't alone, that other people felt the same way that I felt. I felt misunderstood, I felt I was the only one, I felt like there was no one else that felt the way I felt. How wrong was I when it came to that? He showed me, and I showed him, that every time we helped someone, we felt a little better about ourselves. It started off with one tent, and it ended up with 10 tents. We'd go around and we'd find people, and we'd say, come down to where we have our tent set up. There will be no fighting, there'll be no heroin, just a few drinks and music, and no fighting whatsoever. And we'd sit beside the River Liffey in Dublin and we'd have the best time. It was a great summer. I got to know so many people, some great friends. and I felt as strong as ever. And the reason I felt that strong was because I realized